All right. Welcome back to round 3. Samuel on
Hi,
my side.
everyone.
And we are looking at an interesting matchup, I would say. It's Deadpool against TAII WAKEEN. If I'm not mistaken, that's the same player that you faced on day 1.
Yes, very nice guy. Also said to me that he was playing uh Sunday, and cool deck, kind of mid-range burn-ish.
Yeah.
Has a couple a bit more range than burn decks, and yeah. We'll see how it goes against Deadpool.
Yeah. I mean, I would expect that Deadpool easily takes this home, to be fair. Unless TAII WAKEEN comes up with some powerful play patterns. But it's definitely one of those decks that suffers from the text box change.
Definitely.
Since, you win board wise and you offer a lot of text boxes to steal. So that can definitely be a problem. I think there aren't that many versions floating around. I think the one that's mostly played and that we also, or that I played on a channel once against you, was an aggressive one featuring a few synergy cards around TAII WAKEEN.
Yeah.
So, and by synergy cards, I'm talking about cards that you would play anyways, like things like Pyrokinesis and Fury and whatsoever.
Yeah, and I mean it's cool when you have when you're able to you have a kind of a bit gimmicky commander, but the deck list just has a lot of the normal cards you would play in that color combination with whichever generic good commander, and you get to capitalize on some synergies that you don't normally find
Yeah,
in other situations.
that's right. So here we have the usual turn 2 commander cast. On the other hand, we see an Emperor, a Bowmaster, some red cards. I can't tell what they are about. Oh, a Slick Shot Show Off, I think
Yes,
it's called. Yeah.
interesting card.
Very
I
interesting
don't,
card for that deck.
and especially like okay, interesting card for Deadpool to play.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
I think Deadpool plays a lot of other combinations. Also, a bit weird to play it into whatever removal
Comes
could come
from, yeah,
from the red deck.
yeah, exactly. And here we have the new card from Takia. Voice of something.
Voice of
Victory, I think.
Voice of Victory, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the
Victory.
one.
So 1/3 with how's the ability called? Mobilize. Bring some tokens. That's for
Yes,
sure.
bring some tokens.
And then there's a Screaming Nemesis. Is that definitely one of the better cards in the Deadpool pile? Mm, the opponent is on 14 HP. Then again, Screaming Nemesis is not too scary because white has some exile effects. And I think we see a Parallax. No, we don't see a Parallax Wave, but
Wait, how is he at 14? Oh, 2 fetches,
2
Slick Shot Show
fetches
Off,
and
and
Slick
3
Shot.
damage from
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Screaming Nemesis.
Yeah. But yeah, we have a Parallax Wave, actually. There's also a Fury and a Pirate Spell Bomb.
Yeah.
So that's one
I
way
think,
to get rid of the Nemesis without suffering from the trigger.
yeah. I think there was an argument for either playing and cracking the spell bomb to draw a card or some other kind of method here, because hitting that 4th land drop this turn would
Mm-hmm.
have been great so that he could get down the Parallax Wave,
Yeah,
because if he doesn't hit it the coming turn, then he's down the Urza Saga mana, and
that's very true. And he
yeah,
was
but
lucky
he
to
sees
top
the
deck
4th
a
land drop,
yeah,
so he
yeah,
gets to make a mana. Yeah,
lucky for him. Yeah, bringing down the Parallax Wave is definitely important. I agree to that. So now there's a Skull Clamp coming down. Yeah, not the worst. Especially with... So the tokens, I think, are exiled end of turn, right? So you could clamp the tokens.
That's what I am about to look up.
Yeah. Crazy value. Our favorite cards. Parallax Wave. Here we go again. One of the most game-warping white cards currently legal, I would say.
Yeah, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step is the exact wording.
That's pretty good, I would say. So it also synergizes well with Goblin Bombardment, which I think is in his list, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He has some reach here with the Pirate Spellbomb. He only needs to deal 4 more damage to the opponent.
In a blink of an eye, the whole situation changed. There's a sad Magus in Deadpool's hand. We have a...
I'm not sure when the Magus was drawn, but I think I would have definitely considered, if it had been in his hand earlier, would have considered playing the Magus to kill the Urza Saga.
Yeah. That's the question, whether or not he knows about the interaction with Urza Saga, because some people don't.
So he's going face, yeah, because he has no valid targets.
Yeah, I mean, enchantment is a type that RAKDOS really has trouble dealing with.
A red card would have been very strong here to Fury for the win.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think that might actually be what he's...
I think he doesn't even need to. There are 3 creatures. He has 2 counters left, so he can just roast one with the Spell Bomb.
True.
The opponent is at 6.
And the token is a 3/3, so...
Yeah. I think the token is a 2/2, but he can equip the Skull Clamp to it.
No, he has the Spell Bomb, the Skull Clamp, and itself.
Yeah, but he needs to activate the Spell Bomb in order to roast something, right? Otherwise, there will be 1 blocker.
True.
That's probably not the way I would sequence it, in case my opponent has something to go against it. But yeah, it wins him the game here.
Yeah, and I think shocking a creature here instead of having it go under the Parallax Wave that comes back.
Yeah, that was my point.
If there was something like a Pyrokinesis in his hand. Snuffout wouldn't have done it, but Pyrokinesis would have been the one answer, which I think every red deck nowadays plays.
So we have Kellen. On the other hand, there is a nice answer. The Bowmaster again.
Classic sequence.
Yeah.
Play your 2/1, shoot your 2/1 down with my Bowmaster.
And I have 2 bodies. Great. That's what the BOROS player wants to see.
Yeah.
There's a Lightning Bolt,
modern magic in a nutshell.
Flame Slash, Grim Lavamancer Swords, and a Magda, I see. And a Soken-san. Not the worst hand, I would say.
He casts his commander.
On the other hand, is this an unmask? It seems to be an unmask, I think.
Yeah, there's an unmask at the front of his hand.
First card, there is also a Soken-san, and then we have Detective's Phoenix, or was it a Sundering Eruption? No, it's a Phoenix, Unmasks, and some other cards. Yeah, I think bringing down the Phoenix is definitely not the worst threat, to be fair. Yeah, and it seems like he was not aware of the fact that Bestow only works by also paying the collect evidence in addition. There's an Arena of Glory. Yeah, not the worst land to play. Oh, maybe it's not that good actually, because currently there is no mountain on the battlefield, so it would enter tapped. But that's probably not too problematic. So here we have We
The
may,
Crime
yeah,
Magda in his hand.
yeah,
Might
exactly.
might be making tap treasures.
Yeah, I mean, with all the bolts and the swords in hand, this might be, or it is a likely outcome.
Yeah, but I think he's looking to play the long game here, and if he is doing that,
Yeah, he's a bit.
he might be playing his Grim Lavamancer out. But this is, I think this is a difficult sequence
Yeah,
because
absolutely, absolutely.
what do you do if opponent just plays a land and Deadpool's your commander? If
Mm,
you want to kind of sequence towards killing stuff with the exact amount of damage, so you get to draw cards with your commander, which is kind of what I would be doing to, in quotation marks, win the long game.
mm.
If your commander text box is stolen, then that plan kind of flies out the window.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
making mana to recast your commander here is also a good line, I would say.
definitely. Keeping the swords open, probably for the Phoenix to make more mana. Yeah. That brings a first treasure token. And we still have all these bolts and flame slash and whatsoever. And Grim Lavamancer is also a great tech against cards like Detective's Phoenix, for example. No, actually not. Against Goyfs, I was about to say. Phoenix is only your own graveyard, but.
Okay, so notably, there's an Urborg in play, and he paid life with the mana confluence. Rules wise, a legal move.
Yeah, not the
Not the not the
smartest one.
smartest thing
Yeah.
to do. So
Definitely.
remember, guys, only City of Brass has the triggered ability that whenever it's tapped, it deals. No, no, it's written in the text of City of Brass, is it not?
Yes, it is.
This,
If you tap it, you deal 1 damage. If the land is tapped,
yeah, City of Brass is the one that you
yeah,
take damage from.
yeah, definitely. No matter what. Even if your opponent
And
taps it down with a Giga Draws, for example, then you would still
yeah,
gain 1
and
damage.
Ancient Tomb is in the ability that it deals 2 damage to you, and Mana Confluence is you pay 1 life to activate the ability.
Exactly.
So 3 different ways that it's executed. City of Brass is definitely the worst way, I would say.
Mm.
I think these situations where you're casting a lightning bolt at 1 life to kill the opponent so that they die before the trigger from the city resolves is more niche than the other way around.
Yeah. So we have an Onslaught Pride. My favorite cat recently. Very powerful card in failure, obviously, but also a good home. Or TAII WAKEEN is a good home to Onslaught Pride. And here is a Goyf that I was talking about, currently only at 2 power and 3 toughness. And
So does die to the Flame Slash?
it also dies to a Grim Lavamancer activation, right? If he exiles both instants.
Yes.
And there's a second Goyf. So this is if affected by. Yeah, it's currently a 0/1 due to no
His
cards.
commander's not going to be triggering. What did he commit a crime on? To
He
have a second treasure?
he
Oh, he did.
bolted.
That was
He
during his
bolted.
turn. That was during
Yeah,
his
exactly.
turn.
It
Yeah.
was during his turn.
Yeah.
And now there is a Lavamancer activation for the Never Growth. It's yeah, okay. You can do this. You could also go for the. I think I would have sequenced that differently. I think I would have Flame Slash the Barrowgolf now to get the 3rd treasure token. And then in the opponent's turn, you can activate the Lavamancer
Yeah.
in order to get a 4th treasure token. And technically, he would not get a treasure token now because he missed the first trigger from the Grim Lavamancer. I think
Well, no, he didn't. He put the tapped red card as to signify that it's a treasure.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Oh, and he gets to make 2 dragons with the Ocelot Pride trigger.
That would be
That's
crazy.
crazy.
But if he sacrifices 3 treasures, he has no City's Blessing, right? Wait, 2, 4, 6, 8,
No, he
9,
is.
10. He has. But he does not
Yeah.
decide to sacrifice the treasures. Seems.
Okay. Interesting. I think maybe he's playing around a board wipe doesn't really change anything here. Okay. Interesting decision.
Definitely.
Not sure. I mean, at 9 life, no, he's not representing lethal.
I
The
think the
opponent
plan is
can.
maybe with the e-tutor in hand, the plan is to go for another Parallax Wave maybe or
He
something
doesn't
else.
have. He doesn't have 2 white mana.
But he has all the treasures.
That's true. Okay, so he takes the text box of the
That's
Ocelot Pride.
a 5/3 first strike lifelink. Not too bad. I take it, sir. There's the e-tutor. Let's see. You see, there's a Goblin Bombardment. It's considering. The
Yeah,
opponent
but
is
with the
at
text box
9.
gone.
Yeah.
I mean, first strike lifelink, so he has to sacrifice, or he can activate the Lavamancer and sacrifice 1 creature to kill Deadpool.
Yeah. I think you just go
Yeah,
for
so I think
P-Wave here.
with 2 dragons,
This
it
would
would
have
have
been
been better.
Yeah.
Looking
And
at Screaming Nemesis for a second there.
yeah, it's like, okay, this is not a
It's not
wish
not
for
an
anything.
artifact or enchantment.
Yeah, exactly. So we go for the e-tutor. That's what I like a lot about Felia is that you can go for the Overlord and slam it on turn 4 if you're on the aggressive side. And here we
Yeah.
have a Parallax Wave that probably just wins the game. So there's a Deadpool going under. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Plus the Grim Lavamancer activation. He has more than 2 cards in graveyard, right? So that's perfectly
7
enough.
plus 2 is enough.
I think it's even 8 with the cat token, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's it.
Well, it's 7 damage on creatures plus.
True. -1 here. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Would have not expected that outcome, to be fair. But as you see, also maybe some minor suboptimal decisions on Deadpool's side.
Yeah.
Maybe also deck building wise, like featuring a few cards that, for example, the Slick Shot is a card that I would probably not include in this pile.
I agree. I mean, looking at his hand right now, how this game played out, there was 2 Goyfs, the Detective's Phoenix, a bunch of creatures that don't trigger the show off.
Yeah, exactly.
I really don't see a reason to include the show off. Plotting it doesn't really help that much either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, maybe there was definitely a thought behind, and it's fine. It's a new commander, so people play around with it.
Exactly. That's the kind of thing that happens when the time this tournament being played, Deadpool was 2 weeks old.
Yeah.
And it takes a while for the kind of best or good lists to
evolve,
crystallize, and be defined.
Yep. Right.
So yeah, cool mashup though.
Definitely.
Good
Thanks
job,
for
TAII WAKEEN.
tuning in, and see you in round 4.
See you next time.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.